Black Educated and Broke is a weekly entertainment podcast where we mix hip hop, headlines, and all things ATL into the success of black millennials in black culture. And hello to all. Thanks for tuning in. This is a Melanin News exclusive. I'm Mike B., the news director of Black Educated and Broke, the podcast. Joining me is the 2020 Democratic primary challenger to the late great United States Congressman John Lewis of Georgia, Mr. Barrington Martin II. Greetings, my brother.
Man, good morning. How are you, man? First of all, before you answer that, thank you for having me. I'm eternally grateful to you for allowing me on your platform, Mike. And I just want to say, man, I appreciate you, my brother.
Hey, man, you have really caught my attention and the attention of others. And as a journalist, I do believe we have to tell all stories. We supposed to tell all the sides. I believe in telling every side of a story, no matter where I stand in my personal, because you never know what information you may learn and the
Absolutely.
information people need. But we're here to talk about one thing, and it's your response to the Georgia Democratic process in their selection of Georgia State Senator Nikema Williams to replace Congressman Lewis on the November ballot. Of course, Congressman John Lewis, our civil rights icon, he died on
Absolutely.
Friday, July 17th, after his battle with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And the first question I have you, let's get straight to the point. Should
Mhm.
John Lewis have ever run for the seat?
Oh, man. I think that it's important to state, first and foremost, that Congressman Lewis served well. He served long. And he's one of the foremost leaders in life in general, as far as, human rights is concerned, that I look up to. However, we don't necessarily know when he realized or when he found out that he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. But I think that it was a little bit irresponsible. Again, no disrespect to Congressman Lewis, but I have to be honest. It's a bit
Absolutely.
irresponsible. It's a very, very irresponsible for him to have run and placed the party in a predicament that is in right now.
Okay, if I can give some background on that, Congressman Lewis announced during the holiday season, December 2019,
Yes,
that he was
yes.
diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Of course, his 80th birthday was on February the 21st, 2020. Had you noticed anything health related prior to him announcing?
Absolutely not. And so that's the one thing that I want to clear up that needs to be said. I made my decision to run for Congress 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, around this time. And it was solidified last summer of 2019 because mainly I understood, being an Atlanta native born and raised, that there were so many things that need to be fixed and there were so many things that hasn't changed within the last 33 years of Congressman Lewis being at the helm of the seat. And so, instead of, continuously complaining about the problems and being, how we normally do and always being overly critical of our government and what they're not doing, I said, maybe if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. And so that's when I decided to primary Congressman Lewis. And then it just so happened that December of 2019, that's when we all found out, together. And that's what I mainly would like to clear up because a lot of people stated that me running was disrespectful because of the man that Congressman Lewis is. And I understand that, but we're supposed to live in a democracy, and under the constitutions, I fit all the criteria to run, not to mention I'm born and raised from the district in which I ran for. So who better to challenge the status quo than someone who's homegrown, a young man willing to step up to the plate when nobody else was. So, or would, excuse me. So, no, I found out just when everybody else found out, and it just so happens that I planned on running in the first place. So I wanted to clear that up today.
Absolutely. That was actually going to be my next question because in just my opinion, my observations, I do remember him speaking at civil rights icon Juanita Abernathy's funeral in September
Right.
2019. Then, of course, on December the 6th, he presided over the House as they passed the bill to renew the portions of the Voter Rights Act. And I thought there was a slight weight loss, but of course, that happens in our elders. They
Right.
do get smaller. He was already a small frame guy. But what I want to do, because I
Yes.
want to give you time to talk about this. So let's give the details of what Democratic state leaders said. They already had little choice but to complete the process. So, according to Georgia law, the Democratic Party of Georgia had until 4 p.m. this past Monday to determine whether to leave his name on the ballot or replace it. And the party stated that not doing so would have risked losing the seat. The seat for District 5, of course, is being challenged by Republican candidate Angela Stanton King in November. So the Democrats said, according to the law, it was said the selection was to be made by the next business day. Lewis passed on Friday, July 17th. So the next business day was considered Monday. Over the weekend, an online application was made available for qualified individuals to apply, 131 applicants to be exact. The committee that reviewed them were said to be District 5 political leaders of the Democratic Party, but only being named is Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and former gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams. Monday morning, there was a list. Georgia State House Representative Park Cannon, Atlanta City Council member Andre Dickens, former Morehouse President Robert Franklin, Georgia NAACP President, the Reverend James Major Woodall, and of course, Georgia State Senator and Georgia Democratic Party Chairwoman Nikema Williams. Basically, on a live stream Zoom call, the Democrats basically voted, and 37 out of 41 votes of a 44-member committee, Nikema Williams was selected. And we have heard publicly from other Democrats, including yourself. I'll name Vincent Fort, a former state senator, Abel Mabel Thomas, a huge community activist in Metro Atlanta, just to name a few people. But in your opinion, was the process fair, or do you feel it was unfair to you and others who applied for the job?
The process, in my opinion, was 1000% unfair for myself and others, especially when you look at the list and you see some of the heavy hitters that you have there on and within Atlanta politics, especially, your Vincent Ford. I remember seeing Marvin Erickson, just people who I know have had a history in Atlanta politics. And that's the thing about like parties in this, that we have to break up the bureaucratic monopolies that are within parties. And this is my situation specifically shows you just how the party works, and just so how they act as if, or they reflect a big club, and it's either you're with us or you're in the club, or either you're not in the club. My thing was, I was very, very disappointed in how everything went down, mainly because, first and foremost, I was the only candidate to, have the gumption to stand in front of Congressman Lewis and challenge him head on. And I understand that I lost. I mean, who wouldn't lose to a titan that is Congressman Lewis, And, I also accumulated 20 plus thousand votes. I accumulated the most votes in a primary against Congressman Lewis than anybody has ever done in history. And I did this as a first-time politician. And I think that, and I know that, that this is quite an achievement. And there is no reason as to why I should have been left off of the final five. Now, let me make this clear. I don't feel like I should be given, the nomination, because I feel that, I have to earn everything, and I don't ask for handouts. I want to earn everything. And I think that the fact that I did what I did, and the fact that I was possessing the courage enough to stand in front of the great congressman, I think that I earned to be within that final five. And I just think that it was really interesting to see that after he passed, over 130 people signed up to be a part of the nomination process. But then I have to ask, where were you, when all the problems continue to persist within the district? Where were you when you knew ahead of time that the great congressman had cancer and he was dying, but yet and still you wanted to wait until he passed away for you to throw your names in the hat? And that's very cowardly to me. But to speak on the process specifically is very unfair, and that's what I'm here for right now. Like, I'm not even like truly caring about my own political aspirations at this time, because I want to empower the people, and I want the people to know that they have a voice. And their voice needs to be heard and their voice will be heard. Because with processes like this, it continues to make the voters discouraged and continues to make people in general disillusioned about politics itself. Now, I will state that they did abide by the law. They did abide by the rules. However, they didn't have to name a nominee by 4:30. I'm no lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice, but from my understanding, all they really had to do was tell the Secretary of State that they intended to fill the vacancy and not actually come up with a nominee. And so now what you have is party politics that totally disregards the will of the people and disregards the freedom for people to have the agency to choose their destiny. And I think that the entire process, even though it is the law, it is what it is. You have to ask yourself, just because something is law, does that make it just? And based on your response to that question, then you should move forward in possibly seeing what we can do to ensure that democracy continues to reign supreme within our nation.
I hear that. Literally in response to that, just Friday, an article from another Atlanta media. I believe it was posted Thursday, but of course the article has kind of made a little bit more headlines on Friday. But that's what Republicans have said. The law didn't require a quick replacement of John Lewis. I believe they needed information, but not the exact pick. So, of course, it's now being said the Democratic Party interpreted the law in their own way. But as the days ahead, we'll definitely find out. But, we don't have a lot of time. So, quickly, you also had a press conference on Friday
Yes.
morning, the John Lewis Coalition for Democracy. For people who have not seen it or heard it, just real quickly, what do you want the Democrats to know?
We want the Democrats to know that it's impossible to, claim that the Republicans commit voter suppression, commit all these heinous acts against the people, but you're doing this against your own people, and that's egregious. I think that it's also hypocritical as well. And so we're not just taking on the Democratic Party, although there has been recent examples of voter suppression, but we are just aiming to people and just mainly wanting the people to know that their voice will always be heard. And I think that essentially we are, in a way, putting the Democratic Party on notice, in which that we're saying that, even though we support the party, we will not allow hypocrisy to go on within the party any longer, and that we will fight for what's right, we will fight for what's just, and we will fight for the will of the people.
You heard it first. Thank you, Brother Barrington, for joining me. Of course, Governor Brian Kemp has 10 days to call a special election, not including Mondays. So we can say 4 business days have passed as of Friday. July the 24th term that Congressman Lewis was serving will expire in January. Parts of this interview can be heard on Word on the Street with Milani Kai, Shelley Winter, Scotty B, and DJ Crystal on 95.5 WSB Atlanta's News and Talk. This has been a Melanin News exclusive. Join Barrington and myself, hopefully Monday, July 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Black Educated and Broke Facebook page as we get to know this candidate even more and just his process. Of course, he is from Atlanta, from District 5, homegrown like myself. So I'm ready to hear more information and see what the future holds. I'm Mike B. And as I say, every report, these are your headlines right here on Black Educated and Broke. For the latest headlines in Black America, tune in to Black Educated and Broke Weekly for your Melanin News with Mike B.